Welcome dear friends to my video lecture on the concept of learning. What is learning? Learning is an organized attempt to effect changes in behavior by presenting certain experiences, stimulus and activities to the students. It implies a conscious plan to make some behavior pattern and inhibit other undesirable behavior patterns. Learning is a basic characteristic of all living organisms. It occupies an important place in school education. In fact, schools are set up for making children learn. According to Gates and others, learning is the modification of behavior to meet the environmental requirements. Learning is the process of developing the ability to respond adequately to a situation which may not have been properly encountered. There are some common elements in all definitions of learning. First of all, it is a mental activity. It results in a particular form of change. Learning may be positive or negative. Change is the essence of learning. The purpose of teaching is to improve the capacity to learn and its efficiency. What are the characteristics of learning? Learning brings behavioral changes, a change in one's interest, habits, attitudes, etc. It makes one adjust to one's environment. Learning is also universal. It is the nature of every living organism. Learning is a process, it is not a product, ongoing process. It involves several activities and different types of learning to reach the desired goal or purposes in life. Learning is progressive. It always adds to the existing knowledge. It may make positive or negative direction, but it is definitely progressive in nature. Learning is also adjustment. Right from the birth, an organism is faced with the problems and it has to learn to solve the difficulties and adjust to the environment. Learning is also goal-oriented. All the learning is directed towards the achievements of some purposes in life. Learning is also continuous. One activity leads to the other, and thus learning is continuous. Learning goes up to the end of life. There is learning speed. Learning speed changes according to the need and capacity of an individual to change. There are various learning methods that are used in teaching learning process by the teacher. There is a hierarchical order of learning. Higher order learning precedes lower order learning. Memory is a lower order learning. Higher order thinking, reflection, etc. A sequence is maintained. A logical order is maintained in learning. Sequences among different steps are maintained. A teacher has to note this point. Learning is systematic. In the learning process, the activities are organized and reorganized to produce the desired results. Learning is both individual and social. It is not only an individual activity but also a social activity. There is a process of learning. Learning involves a series of changes in a phased and planned manner. Learning is a process in which the learner attends to surroundings and is changed by exposure to them. Learning is not an addition of new experience, but it is old and new experiences which results in completely new organization or pattern of experience. Learning as a process consists of sequence of events or conditions leading to changes in the learner. A person is supposed to be a new person after learning. A chain of events takes place in the process of learning. The individual has needs and is therefore in a state of readiness to respond. The individual meets a learning situation. A new interpretation is required because the previously learned material is not sufficient or adequate to meet the new demand. The teacher has to address to this new demand. The individual interprets the situation with reference to goals. This depends on the nature of the content to be learned by the individual. If his response leads to desired goals or satisfaction, he will respond to future situation in the same manner. If he encounters dissatisfaction, then he keeps on trying and reinterpreting until the goal is reached. In education, the most important aspect of the whole process of learning is the child. The child will learn from the teacher or from other sources. He learns what he intends to learn because learning is a primary requirement of human life. In the process of learning, the individual acquires knowledge by adopting suitable methodology. What are the factors of effective learning? Learning involves a series of changes and developments. Hence, it is controlled and affected by many aspects. Learning is affected by external and internal factors. What are they? The classroom factors affecting learning are goals and objectives, both for the teacher as well as for the students. Motivation and interest of the learners. How far they have been motivated or not. What are their interests in life, in learning. Then fatigue. Some students may get into boredom while learning. Why? What is the cause of it? Why the teaching is not interesting to them? How this fatigue happens? Is it the internal factor or the outside or factor from the home? Then skills and practices. What are the various skills and practices a teacher can give to the students? Then attitude to learning. What is their attitude to learning? Whether they are disposed to learn anything new. How to create that type of attitude in them. Then learning experiences and activities. Then evaluation and guidance. If the students are not up to certain level, then they have to be evaluated and proper guidance should be given. Classroom learning atmosphere. A conducive learning atmosphere has to be created in the classroom. Thus, learning has both intrinsic and extrinsic values. There are certain aspects of learning. The needs of the learner, one of the aspects. Physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, self-esteem needs for the learners. What are the physiological needs? It is like hunger and thirst, etc. It serves the function of the maintenance of organism. A severe deprivation of physiological needs can act as obstacles for effective learning. Then there are safety needs. Children want to have safe environment. They feel free to interact with each other for learning purposes. Then love and belonging needs. Learners want to have security and trust in order to participate in activities in schools and other social institutions. Then there are self-esteem needs. Every learner is able to function very well when his abilities are recognized by others. He develops a desire for better achievement and competence to enjoy freedom, build a self-image. Another aspect of learning is readiness to learn. The law of learning states that the more freely a person or organism is in a state of readiness to act in a certain way, the more satisfying it will be for it to act in that way. Conversely, the more unready by an organism is to act in a certain way, the more annoying it will be for it to act in that way. Then, another aspect of learning is learning situation. Environment also plays an important role in the development of the individual and also the process of learning. A good teacher always creates a learning climate suitable for the learner to involve in the process of learning. The learning situation sometimes act as hidden curriculum in the classroom. Then there is interaction. to solve the problem, and individual student interacts with one another, interacts with the teacher in a definite pattern. What does a teacher do in the classroom with a student in terms of verbal and non-verbal behavior is quite important for making the students achieve the desired learning experiences. This analysis of teacher behavior has been done to improve classroom teaching. To solve a problem, an individual student interacts with one another in a definite pattern. Teaching and learning. What is the relationship between teaching and learning? It is interlinked. Teaching and learning is interlinked and interdependent. The teacher creates a situation for learning. The important characteristics of teaching learning process have been discussed already. Teaching learning process is a means whereby society trains its young ones in a selected environment, that is school. Teaching and learning are highly interdependent. The success of teaching depends much on the effective learning by students. Both teaching and learning implies better planning. Teaching and learning will be effective only if teacher takes into account needs and interests of the students. The real criterion of assessment of effectiveness of teaching is to assess to what extent teaching has been effective in making students to learn. Thus, good teaching should result in learning. Thank you very much, dear friends. God bless you abundantly. Happy New Year 2023. Let us meet in other video lectures.